Epistemology is the study of the nature and grounds of a particular branch of knowledge, especially with reference to its limits and validity. Realism is the epistemology of heterodox economics. The objective of economics is to be able to tell a relevant story and to explain the way the economy actually works in the real world. To do this, we have no choice but to begin with reality and its various stylized facts, rather than starting from a hypothetical idealistic position. And while all theories are to some degree abstractions of the real world, which means that they are in a way imperfect and simple, they must nonetheless be descriptive. They must depict the real world, and not some imaginary one. In fact, there is no doubt that the most common criticism of neoclassical theory is that it is not a realist or realistic depiction of the real world. To be fair, there are hints of realism embedded within neoclassical theory. But these tend to be auxiliary hypotheses removed from the theoretical foundation of neoclassical theory that depicts a non-existent ideal world. Heterodox economists, on the other hand, consider this approach as misleading and far removed from the real world. It rests on an imaginary view of the world. Instrumentalism is the dominant epistemology of neoclassical economics. For instrumentalists, a hypothesis is sound for two reasons. It is acceptable, first, provided it allows for accurate predictions, and, second, as long as it can help to calculate the value of a new equilibrium position. The realism of any particular hypothesis is not of concern. Theories are mere tools or instruments of analysis, largely regardless of their ability to explain the real workings of the economy. In other words, what counts is not the realism of the theory but only its predictive power. This is precisely the epistemology defended by Milton Friedman, among others, and endorsed by the vast majority of neoclassical authors. Ontology is the branch of metaphysics dealing with the concepts and relationships that can exist for an agent or a community of agents. Ontology of heterodox economics is organicism. In the heterodox approach, individuals are viewed as social beings, under the influence of their environment, including their culture and social class, as underlined by Marxist authors. Moreover, the microeconomic decisions of individuals can give way to macroeconomic paradoxes, such as the well-known paradox of thrift. Organicism, or holism, at least a moderate version of it, is the cornerstone of the heterodox approach. Institutions are not perceived as imperfections or impediments to the market system. On the contrary, institutions bring stability to the economic system as a whole. Power relationships and asymmetries come to the forefront. These then encourage the study of income distribution among the various social classes, or among the various institutions that hold power within society, such as banks and large corporations. They also encourage us to look more closely at the relationships between economic sectors and the constraints that they impose upon each other. Ontology of neoclassical economics is individualism. At the heart of neoclassical theory is the individual, the economic agent. While this was obvious in the Walrasian general equilibrium theory, it is even more obvious under the guise of the new macroeconomic reconstruction of neoclassical theory, which requires microeconomic foundations resting on the representative agent, who is simultaneously consumer and producer, and who maximizes whatever function under some constraints. Moreover, institutions such as banks or firms only hide the true intentions and preferences of individuals. This is a world of atomized agents, the world of methodological individualism. Rationality, heterodox procedural rationality versus neoclassical substantive rationality. In neoclassical theory, economic agents poses an absolute or substantive rationality. This is a rather unreasonable presupposition, since agents apparently possess quasi-unlimited knowledge and ability to calculate economic outcomes. The introduction of a lack of perfect information in certain neoclassical models only serves to reinforce this unreasonable ability of agents to calculate and optimize information. This hyper-rationality is akin to the concept of rational expectations that we find in neoclassical or new Keynesian models. For heterodox economists, however, rationality is bounded or procedural. For heterodox economists, individuals and institutions face severe limitations in their ability to acquire and process information. This inability goes beyond the existence of imperfect information, as we find it in neoclassical economics, where agents are also able to factor in the time spent searching for the optimal quantity of information. For heterodox economists, however, the information is often insufficient or indeed non-existent, which forces individuals and firms to postpone crucial decisions. In fact, these decisions are particularly difficult to make, given that they depend on expectations of the future, which itself depends on the decisions and actions taken today. In such a world, or rather to deal with these situations, individuals give themselves norms to follow. They rely on conventions, customs, rules of behavior and rules of thumb, or imitate actions taken by neighbors or individuals who are in the limelight, whose behavior they imagine to be better informed, or else they create institutions to reduce the detrimental consequences of uncertainty. Rules of thumb are not ad hoc, rather they are a rational response to an uncertain and often complex environment.